Welcome aboard Just Jets with your captain, Matt O'Leary. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary, back for episode number 42 of Just Jets. Oh, another week in the book. Another week in the books. It's tough. 5 more games to go. We're going to get through it together. Don't you worry. It's Jets therapy. I got your questions. We're going to talk Darnold. We're going to talk a whole bunch of stuff. But before we get into all that, I just wanted to mention that if you're interested, MANSCAPED.com, promo code JETS20. They're kind enough to sponsor the podcast. So let's talk about them briefly. If you're looking for the ultimate stocking stuffer this holiday season, look no further than Manscaped, folks. Everyone's got to do it. Everyone uses it. And I'm hooking you up. Promo code JETS20. That's promo code JETS20. Gets you 20% off. And good news, their products are now available across Europe, Canada, and Australia. So they're going global. If it's something you're interested, check it out. Again, I got you with the promo code JETS20 for 20% off and free shipping. So check it out. Thanks to them as well. So let's just jump into this episode, man, because we got a lot to talk about. And the first thing that I wanted to get into, Sam Darnold did not play well. I want to talk about trade value and what we could potentially get, because it's over. I said it in my post-game piece. I am no longer playing the games. I'm not taking the calls, the voicemails, the Twitter questions, the Instagram DMs. I'm not doing it anymore for, okay, what if you trade the pick or take an offensive lineman, or if you don't get number one, do you if you get the number 2 pick, do you stick with Sam Darnold? No. It's over. I did not want this to happen. I was not rooting for this to happen. I was holding out hope for longer than a good amount of people were. Probably through at least 6-7 weeks of this season. We can't do it anymore. 197 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He is completely shell-shocked out there. He is. You can't go into 2021 with him as your quarterback if you're the New York Jets. It's the unfortunate truth. He needs to be traded away, get a fresh start somewhere else, and you're going to be in a position to take one of 2 really good prospects. One, the most likely scenario, is the number 1 overall pick in Trevor Lawrence, who is the best quarterback prospect since Andrew Luck, or Justin Fields, who would be a number 1 prospect in just about any other draft. It's a no-brainer here. You have to move on. On the season, he has 3 touchdowns. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since week 3. 8 interceptions, a 64 quarterback rating, 58.7 completion percentage. His yards per attempt is 5.7. It's tough, man. It's a tough go of it for Sam. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that because of these tough games, now you're only getting a 5th rounder for him. Hold on a second. We're going to pump the brakes for a quick second. I am not at the point where I'm saying he's completely useless, cut him, or, that's just silly. You're not going to do that. Or, trade him for a conditional 7th or something like that. No, you're still going to get some value on him, and I want to explain why there is still value on him. He plays the most important position in the NFL, the quarterback, and the most important position in all of sports, if we're being completely honest with you, and one of the more valued positions in sports. It holds so much value that teams are willing to give up those kind of draft assets. We saw Josh Rosen a couple of years ago go for a 2nd and a 5th off a terrible rookie year. Now, Darnold's a couple of years older, but at 23 years old, people are going to think that they can get this guy to figure it out. They're going to be willing to take those swings on him. Some teams are. Now, I'm not saying a particular, quarterback needy team who's picking at the top of the draft is going to do that, but are we going to be stunned if the 49ers are intrigued, or if the Steelers are intrigued, or if the Bears are intrigued? Probably not, because none of those teams are going to be picking in the top 3, which is probably what you're going to need to get one of Lawrence, Fields, Zach Wilson. Maybe get someone in the, at 4 or 5 that you like. Kyle Trask is climbing up boards. Maybe you get one of those guys. Or you take a shot on someone who was the 3rd overall pick, and he was the number 1 prospect coming out in 2018. And I think the sad thing is, if Darnold goes to Buffalo, Cleveland, the Ravens, maybe not the Cardinals, because that was a tough situation to begin with. But if he goes to one of those spots, I don't think we're talking about him in this scenario. If the Jets drafted Allen instead, I don't think Josh Allen is what Josh Allen is in Buffalo here with the New York Jets. I don't think Lamar Jackson is. I don't think Baker Mayfield is. I think a lot of it is circumstantial, and some of it is on the player too. I'm not just going to sit here and blindly say that this is 100% on the Jets, 0% on Sam Darnold. No, he does share some of the blame. There's a lot of blame to go around on the coach, Adam Gase, on Mike McCagnon's awful drafting years before Darnold got there, when Darnold was here, roster decisions when Darnold was here. There are a ton of reasons why this did not work out, but it didn't, and you have to move on. You can't go into next year in his fourth year with this kind of quarterback play. The excuses are running really, really low. There were times where he had clean pockets and he was running and making rookie mistakes. That can't happen in your third year, going into your fourth year. Now, again, could this be fixed? Maybe it can, and a team will take a risk on it. But it can't be the Jets staring Trevor Lawrence in the face, or at worst, Justin Fields in the face. You can't do it. They can't be that team to do it. So I still think that they are trading Sam Darnold. I'm going to say you're still getting a second or a third. I think the first round pick has sailed a long time ago. But at worst, even if he tanks out and is playing awful the next 5 weeks, like he has through the entire season, at worst, it's going to be a third round pick, because that's how valuable the quarterback position is. Even if the guy is struggling off a horrendous year, someone is going to say, hey, he's 23 years old. I'll take a shot. I'll sit him behind player X for a year, and then maybe he can be my guy. I think a team's going to take a shot on him. I think he gets moved for a second or a third. The other storyline I wanted to talk about before we got into the Jets-Dolphins, because there are some exciting things to talk about on this game, or from this past week, this game. But let's talk about the wild press conference that was Adam Gase in the postgame. I'm going to play you the clip because I just honestly cannot believe what happened. Let's play the clip.
We were watching Dowell.
I didn't take over. We did this. We've done the same thing the last 4 games.
We were watching Dowell through the whole game. He wasn't doing anything. I mean, he was just standing there.
He tells me it's not hard. This is not hard. We go through it the drive before. Hey, these are the 3 plays. I do the third downs.
So what happens after the 3 plays when you have a series? Because we were watching one where Dowell was talking to Frank Pollock. He wasn't calling the plays. You were.
What part of the game was it?
I want to say that was the third quarter.
Yeah, when we got down, then I was trying to do some of the 2-minute stuff.
So are you not calling the plays? That was courtesy of SNY, by the way. Are you or are you not calling the plays? What are we doing? How are we making it this challenging? This guy is insufferable, man. He's insufferable, but for the tank, it's good. For the tank, it's a good thing. 5 more games. Just got to get through 5 more with this guy as the head coach. But the whole, what are we doing? Is Dowell Loggins is saying that Dowell Loggins is calling the play and you aren't? Is that going to make some sort of competitive advantage for your other team or put you at a disadvantage because the opposing team knows? No, it's a joke either way. Dowell Loggins isn't some great play caller. Adam Gase isn't some great play caller. It doesn't matter. Why are you just outwardly lying about it? There's no reason for it. The ego, there's just so many things that are driving me nuts with this guy. And it's a week in and week out thing with Adam Gase. There's always something with this guy. And shout out to, I believe it was Rich Cimini who asked the question. And then the follow-up from Connor Hughes. Thank God they followed up because that's just ridiculous. It makes 0 sense. This man makes no sense. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I had to play that on the pod because that was just a ridiculous quote. So this Jets-Dolphins game, 20-3. Outside of the opening drive, the offense was atrocious. We saw that all last year, by the way. Remember, they would go on the opening drive, touchdown, offense would look good and do nothing the rest of the way. That was essentially this game, except they settled for a field goal instead. Darnold, we talked about him, did not play good football at all. Mims looks really good. If you want to look on the offensive side and the bright side of things, Mims and Perryman's coming around. If he can stay healthy, maybe you bring him back. I'm not 100% sold on bringing him back, depending on what the cost is. Maybe you can convince me. Mims, though, just another week, man. He's consistent. He comes out and makes his plays. He's a big threat, contested catch threat. To me, looks like he is someone who is at minimum going to be a good starting outside receiver. Maybe like a good number 2. But I think this is more likely a very, very good number 2 or a solid 1. His ceiling is a solid 1, but I think your floor is a decent level starting number 2 receiver in an offense. So right now, as a rookie with no training camp because the guy was hurt, no preseason games, only has played 5 games this year. If you take these 5 games and pace out what he's doing, he'd have over 900 receiving yards with awful quarterback play. The worst quarterback play in the league. That's good stuff. That's exciting stuff about Denzel Mims. So you should be very excited about that. And another guy I want to talk about before we get into Jets Raiders briefly, before we get into the voicemails. Quinnen Williams. I made a video earlier in this week. He's been proving me wrong. He has. I was not a fan of the pick. I'll be honest with you. I thought it was a waste to go on the interior defensive line. I thought he had an underwhelming rookie year. There were points where he looked pretty solid, but there are other weeks where he was very, very quiet. This year, he's looking like a top 3 pick. He's probably a Pro Bowler this year. He's playing on his way to go to a Pro Bowler on an 0-16 team. The Jets are going to have, think about this. The Jets are likely to go 0-16, and there's a really good shot they're going to have 2 Pro Bowlers under the age of 22 years old in Mekhi Becton and Quinnen Williams. That's just bananas. That just goes to show you how awful this coaching staff is. That you're going to have 2 Pro Bowlers under the age of 22 years old, and you're still going to go winless. That's truly special. That is truly special. So that was really the main takeaways from this game. You lose a 20-3 game. I thought the defense was fine. I thought that, they were fine. They held their own, but offensively, man, this team's just not good enough. They're not, which just gets us into the Jets-Raiders game. Some people are afraid of the Raiders coming in and losing this game. Yes, the Jets beat them last year. I don't care that they beat them last year. This is not the same Jets team as last year. The Raiders are coming off a bad loss. They're 6-5. They're in the hunt right now. They are playing for a playoff spot. They need this game. They need it. I know it's a West Coast team coming to the East Coast to play a 1 o'clock game. I understand all of that. But if you've watched this team, and unfortunately, if you've watched Sam Darnold this year, what shows you that they are going to be able to score enough points to be in this game? How many times this year where Sam Darnold has played have the New York Jets scored anywhere close to being competitive outside of the Denver game? Really? They didn't do anything against Buffalo either time, really, offensively. They didn't do anything against San Francisco. They didn't do anything against Miami. Which one? Indianapolis? Come on. None of these times. It's like, the Jets lost a shootout, with Sam Darnold. He hasn't thrown more than 1 touchdown pass in a game and hasn't thrown a touchdown pass since week 3. This is a historically bad offense. They are on pace to be historically bad. I am not in the least bit concerned about the Raiders. I'm not. They are fighting for their playoff lives. They're going to be a motivated team. John Gruden's a better coach. Raiders come into town, win this one 27-10. Jets aren't scoring more than 10 points. Or 1 touchdown, excuse me. Maybe they kick in a couple extra field goals. They'll get to 16, maybe. Big whoop. Raiders win this one. Tank rolls on. Let's get into the voicemails. First one is Tim from Illinois, and he has some inside info on Pat Fitzgerald. Let's hear from Tim.
Hey, Matt. Tim from Illinois. How you doing? Great show. Love it. Listen to it every Wednesday night.
Thank you.
Want to talk to you a little bit about Pat Fitzgerald. Being from Illinois, I kind of got a little bit of a background on him. I don't see him leaving Northwestern. He's a hometown boy, graduated from there. He played back in the Rose Bowl in '96, and his staff, most of his staff stays there. He has very, very little turnover. I've met him a couple times, and both times, he always talks about how much he loves Northwestern. I know when Green Bay, and I think it was maybe Carolina, tried to steal him away, he wouldn't even take the interview. So I think he'd be a fantastic head coach for the Jets, but I don't see him leaving Northwestern. Thanks. Just wanted to leave that with you. See you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not like I'm watching Northwestern football religiously, but what I do know is that he would be an intriguing option if he was willing to leave. That's the thing. I don't know if I would bet on him being a top priority, but the Jets showing interest, not surprised with in the slightest. Not at all surprised, but thank you, Tim, for checking in. Again, I'm not going to lie and say that I watch Northwestern football a whole lot. I don't, but I do think he would be an intriguing option. So thank you, Tim, for calling in with that little bit of insider info. And we're going to move on to Liam from Manhattan, wants to talk about the rookie class and give out some grades.
Hey, Matt. This is Liam from Manhattan. Long time no speak, buddy. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving.
Thank you. You
I've
too.
been loving your content you've been putting out lately. So today, I want to give you my grades for our rookie draft class so far this season, and I'll ask you to give me your grades for them as well. So first, Mekhi Becton, big ticket, Highway 77. He gets an A. He would have gotten an A+ if he wasn't banged up so much this year. Now Denzel Mims, he also gets an A. He would have also gotten an A+ if he had been healthy the entire season. Ashton Davis gets a C+. He's been a good tackler, but he's been really struggling in coverage. Jabari Zuniga gets a D. For some reason, Greg Williams has been playing him at D tackle instead of edge, and overall he's been pretty ineffective. Michael Pirine gets a C+ as well. He is hurt, but I think he'll be a good backup for the Jets in the future. James Morgan gets an F. Not really much to say there. He hasn't lined up. He hasn't dressed up. Cameron Clark gets an incomplete grade. It would help if he could actually get on the field. Bryce Hall gets a B. He did well against Mike Williams and Keenan Allen last Sunday, but I want to see it over a longer span. And finally, Braden the GOAT, man, he gets an A+. Not much else you could ask from your punter that you drafted in the 6th round. Now I'm calling before the Dolphins game on Sunday, so these grades could be a little bit skewed. But let me know what you think of my grades and what you would grade our draft class so far. Thanks so much for getting to my call, and go Jets.
Sure.
Actually, don't go Jets because I'm a Bryson tank, baby. Let's go.
Go Jags. Let's go Jaguars. That's great. I love it. Thank you for checking in, and hope you had a nice Thanksgiving as well. All right, we'll start with the top. Mekhi Becton, to me, I would say gets an A grade. I think that's fair. Mims, I'm going to say also an A. I think he's been just about as good as expected. Ashton Davis, C+ you gave him. I might go B-. I think he's played a little bit more than I thought, and I think he's held his own. C+ is pretty fair, though. I don't have any issue with that. Who else we got? Pirine, C maybe with Pirine. I thought he was okay. I know injury played a role in that, and he's not going to play the rest of the year, as we know, but maybe that's part of the reason why. Zuniga, don't know. He hasn't played enough. I would say incomplete on him as well. Cameron Clark gets an incomplete. Morgan, I don't like the Morgan pick. I don't think it makes sense to draft a project player when you have so many needs. So I would say he hasn't played, so maybe I won't give him an F, but incomplete, let's say. Cameron Clark, we said incomplete, and Man's been good. Man, I'll say an A. So I think an overall good, fair grades from you and a good draft class from Joe Douglas so far. I'm excited to see more down the stretch and into next year. Thanks for checking in, Liam. We're going to go to Kunal in Maryland, who wants to talk about the second first rounder.
Hey, Matt. Big fan of the show. This is Kunal Katari calling from Ellicott City, Maryland. I had two questions for you. One was we made a lot of there's been a lot of talk about Trevor Lawrence being our first pick, but not a lot of talk about who we might take with the second first-round pick. And I wanted to get your thoughts on who we should target, and also if you would consider trading up to the middle or to the top of the first round with that second first-round pick, packaging our third-round picks or so to get another superstar, whether it's a high-end corner, wide receiver, some of the corners from Alabama or the receivers from Alabama, Sean Wade from Ohio State. Just to get a premier player for this talent-deprived Jets team. And then my second question was what your thoughts were on Ashton Davis and his getting more playing time with Bradley McDougall down. Just wanted to see what you thought about his future with the team. Thank you so much. Great show. Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for checking in. We'll start Davis and then work our way back. I think he's been fine. I don't think he's been or nearly has had the impact that, the first two guys have had, but I think he's held his own. A few mistakes and bumps along the way. Like he didn't play well against Kansas City. Yeah, no one's going to play well in that secondary. Come on. And this past week against the Dolphins, he kind of fell down, but there has been some intriguing things with him. I think he's going to be a starter next year and be fine. I really want him to play next to Marcus May. I think you have to bring back Marcus May now. And as far as what I want to do with the second first rounder, I don't know if I'd want to move up. Maybe if you get that other second round pick in the Darnold trade and you give one of those up to move up, maybe I would consider it, but I'm good with just stockpiling prospects and players. So I'm not necessarily looking to give up a pick. I'll give you some positions that I would like to see attacked with the second first round pick. Potentially wide receiver, offensive line's a big one, edge, corner. Those are the only really positions that I think should be touched. I don't want to take a running back in the first round. I never want to take a running back in the first round. I don't think you're taking. I saw some people or some mocks even say the Jets should take a tight end. No. Don't concern yourself with that right now. You give Chris Herndon another look next year, or you sign somebody. Don't use a pick on a tight end in the first two rounds, please. But I think, but positional wise, it's got to be. If you're going defense, it's got to be only corner or edge. Those are the only positions I care about that early. And if you're going offense, interior offensive line, wide receiver, that seems to make the most sense to me. So that's the direction that I would head. Thank you so much. We're going to go to Roger and Comac. I believe it's Roger and Comac. And he wants to talk about Morgan and Fitzpatrick.
Matt, it's Roger from Comac calling again. Matt, I got a couple of points I want to make, and I'm going to start with the James Morgan critique that you had of him, last time. I think you're being too harsh on James Morgan. A couple of reasons why, right? For one, I look at Tom Brady. He was a fourth stringer for the Patriots in his first year, so I'm not totally convinced that he's, let's call it a bust at this point, just because he hasn't seen the field. Other point I want to make about that is I don't believe Adam Gase is a very good judge of talent anyways. I mean, you're talking about a guy who keeps, parading Frank Gore out there when he's got LaMichael Pirine available to him, a young guy who can actually do something with the ball. So I think you're talking about having the wrong coach, making the wrong decisions, and, we truly don't know what James Morgan is. And we probably won't know what he is until after training camp, is concluded next year. Now, having said that, he could be a bust. Who cares? Because honestly, you're talking about a draft class that produced 6 people that were able to contribute to this Jets team. So I think Joe Douglas, he's doing an outstanding job. I don't agree with nitpicking on the James Morgan thing and whoever else is out there that you feel might be a bust. The guy's done an outstanding job, and I'm excited to see what he does next year. Last point I want to make is Pat Fitzgerald. I don't think I want him to be head coach of this football team because, quite honestly, after he made that comment about communism and comparing it to the RPOs, that speaks to me, of a guy that is not that flexible with the guy who's, set on the old way and the guy who's not willing to try anything new. To be honest with you, if that's the kind of head coach you're looking for, then you might as well stick with Adam Gase because Adam Gase is the exact same kind of, person, the exact same kind of coach. He refuses to try anything innovative. He's going to stick to his own formula no matter how awful it might be. So that's just the point I want to make on Pat Fitzgerald. I'm still high on Matt Campbell, by the way. So that's it. Let me know your thoughts. I'm excited to hear, and great show, by the way. Thanks.
Thank you. It's not that I don't have trust in Joe Douglas. I do think he had a really good draft. If you hit on Becton and you hit on Mims and you get a couple of two other starters outside of that, that's a really good draft. I still think it is a really good draft, but at the same time, you can say that what this player or what this general manager does is really good. And this decision that he made, I did not agree with. I did not align with. It doesn't mean that I don't trust him. It doesn't mean that I don't think he's right for the job. I do. I trust Joe Douglas. I don't think you can take a developmental piece. If the plan all along was to take him and just sit him the entire year, then that's a waste of a draft pick because of how many holes you had. Maybe that he turns into a long-term backup. Maybe that's the case. You get a backup quarterback out of him. I would have rather take the swing on something else. I don't think he's Christian Hackenberg, but it's a little disconcerting that he can't get on the field. Or disheartening. It's a little concerning. It's a little, I don't know. It's not the biggest thing in the world. The Jets have a ton of issues on this team, but I would have liked to have seen Morgan this year. Why are we running Joe Flacco out there? But I understand that these guys have jobs to do, and they are trying to preserve their NFL careers, so I get it. So thank you for checking in, Roger. We're going to Malik in California, wants to talk about Sam Darnold.
Hey, Matt. Malik from Compton, California. My question here, with 3 minutes, third quarter, 10 minutes and 48 seconds, right after the Sam Darnold interception, is Sam Darnold ruined, or is he just god awful? I'm convinced he's just awful. He comes in, can't throw a touchdown, interception prone, as we know, and we have Joe Flacco coming back after his surgery looking like Peyton Manning.
I don't know if I go that far.
Thank you. Hope you get the answer.
Yeah. Sam Darnold is really bad right now. I don't think he's always been bad. I don't think that's a fair criticism because he did show a lot of signs in his first 2 years to give you enough to be intrigued about him. He was the number one quarterback prospect coming out of that draft. I know Baker went ahead of him, but he was the number one the quarterback prospect in that draft. And a lot of people had Rosen ahead too. Football's weird. It's circumstantial. He was put in a really bad circumstance, and he wasn't able to overcome it. Some of it's on him. Some of it's on Mike McCagnon. Some of it's on Adam Gase. Some of it's on Dowell Loggins. Some of it's on Jeremy Bates and Todd Bowles. There's a lot of reasons for why it didn't work out. He's playing bad football right now, though. You can't disagree with that. Next is Max from New Jersey, wants to talk about Matt Patricia and why he doesn't want him to be the next head coach. I agree, Max. Let's hear why.
Hi, this is Max from Holmdel, New Jersey. I love your podcasts, by the way. They're really good.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. Which head coaching candidates do you not want? Last week on the podcast, I said I did not want Bill O'Brien, but that this week my views changed. I do not want Matt Patricia as the Jets' next head coach. He's a defensive fraud. He's a defensive specialist, but his defenses in Detroit rank last. How? He's a defensive specialist. His defenses in Detroit should not rank last. Just because he was a defensive coordinator under Belichick doesn't mean that the Jets should hire Matt Patricia.
Agree.
I'm super worried because if we fire Gase, if Woody Johnson does not come back to the U.S., I think that Christopher Johnson is probably going to hire Matt Patricia. And I think it's the wrong move. I get it. His offenses were good, but they had Matthew Stafford, which was a super good quarterback. Kenny Galladay had like a 4,000-yard season. And the Detroit running back, Adrian Peterson, was really good under Matt Patricia. But his defenses are the worst. The NFL seriously needs to stop hiring Belichick assistants. They are the worst. Remember when the Jets hired Eric Mangini? It was a huge mistake.
Whoa.
Back then.
No.
If the Jets hire Matt Patricia, it would be a huge mistake. Love the show, and go Jets.
No. We are not doing Eric Mangini slander on Just Jets. That will not be a thing. If the Jets don't hire Eric Mangini, they don't go to the AFC Championship games in 2009 and 2010. Look at the 2006 and 2007 draft classes. Eric Mangini was a huge part of those draft classes. He had a lot of say in the personnel. And if you look at the 06 draft class, how many huge pieces did they get in that class alone? DeBrickashaw, Nick Mangold, Leon Washington, Brad Smith, Dwight Lowry might have been later. I'll pull it up right now because now I'm intrigued. There was a lot of players taken in those 3 years that he was there that were a huge part of that team going forward. And they had some really good years. The 2006 and 2008 years were good. Here, let's look at this draft class. DeBrickashaw, Ferguson, Nick Mangold, huge parts of the team. Eric Smith was a key contributor to those teams. Brad Smith, key contributor. Leon Washington, key contributor. Drew Coleman, maybe not so much. 07, Revis and Harris. Come on. 2008, missed on Vernon Golston. Dustin Keller was a huge part. Dwight Lowry, a huge part. Marcus May, huge contributor on special teams. And the 2006 Jets, let's not forget, like that was a team that nobody had expectations for. They went to the playoffs. 2007, the wheels fell off. We know that. But in 2008, like they were 8-4, and then Brett Favre got hurt. They still finished 9-7. He had 2 winning records in 3 years and had huge draft classes to propel that team to 2 AFC title games. There will not be Eric Mangini slander on this show. So I got to stand up for my guy because he set the foundation for those years. But I definitely agree that Matt Patricia would be an unmitigated disaster. Next up, Elias in Rochester wants to talk Sam Darnold.
Yo, what's going on, man? This is Elias from Rochester. So this pains me to say, but Sam Darnold sucks. Yeah, like I think he can definitely play well somewhere else, but not with this team. Like it would help to not, run the ball, put Frank Gore up the middle every first and second down, but also those interceptions are just inexcusable. So we definitely got to go Trevor Lawrence. Speaking of which, to all those morons hitting me up telling me he's not going to come to the Jets, he's not coming out of college. I told you, think about this, man. Would you rather be living in New York playing football for a living or be stuck in class, like lecture halls in college? It makes no sense why people thought he was going back because, even if people say he's going to pull an Eli Manning, okay, yeah, he's going to go to Washington or Jacksonville, or yeah, those are probably the only teams that would go go up to get him or something. So yeah, that's really dumb. But I got a question for you. Next year, would you consider and how do you feel about doing the RB by committee set? So instead of, I'm kind of against picking a running back super high in the draft. I feel like if you take a running back kind of in the 3rd or 4th round every year, you do kind of what the Rams are doing. They had Todd Gurley. They paid him way too much. They got rid of him, and then they already had some running backs in place, and now they have a good RB by committee set there that's working really efficiently. So I think, part of me wants to have that, lead guy, but I think there's too many holes on the team to, take a running back in the 2nd round or something.
Agree.
I would be fine taking one in the 3rd round. Running back's definitely a need. I don't think P. Ryan's, the a top running back, he's kind of the ball power role. So just let me know what you think, man. Also, Jaguars, you suck. You were so close. Please win a game for us, man. Because I want to beat Seattle so Jamal Adams can go sit in a dark room at his house with his depression and shit. Keep up the great work, man. Also, everyone, check out Big Apple Baseball Banter on YouTube if you like, Mets Yankee stuff. So yeah, man, go Jags, go Jets, Duval. Love the show, man. Keep up the good work.
Love it. Thank you for checking in. That's hilarious. Love the Duval. Okay, so a couple of things to get into. The Darnold stuff is definitely frustrating. For where this guy was and the expectation, we talked about it ad nauseum. There's a lot of reasons why this didn't work. I'm not opposed to doing running back by committee. I really like Jamal Williams out in Green Bay. He's a free agent, and they're likely going to pay Aaron Jones to stay out there. So you got a guy who has been productive, has averaged over 4 yards a carry the last 2 years, who you can probably get for $5 million against the cap, a couple of years, like $5 million a year. I would rather do that, and then maybe you take someone in the third round like Chuba Hubbard or something like that, and then you roll with those three, with Williams, Hubbard, and Pirine. I'm okay with that as a running back room. I have no issue with it. You could sell me on taking a Najee Harris in the second round and doing it that way. That's about the earliest I'd go, is the second round. And that's only if you have 2 second rounders. If for whatever reason the Jets trade Darnold and only get a third, then address that in the third. You can't use the 33rd pick at that point for a running back. But I'm completely okay with that logic, 100%. So next up is Brandon from Florida. He has some reaction from the game. Let's hear from Brandon.
Hey, Matt. This is Brandon from Florida. And, man, I had to call in today. I've been watching your show for a long time.
Thank you.
But, had to give my 2 cents today because
let's hear it.
I'm honestly just appalled at how Adam Gase still has his job. I don't get it. You see the firings across the league, head coach, GM. Lions, I think the Jags just fired their GM.
Yep.
Houston, GM and head coach. Lions, it's just like, I just don't understand. As Jet fans, I'm sure we're all like, what is going on? Just get him out. Give us some clarity. Just get him out now so we know what to expect moving forward. And as for Darnold, man, I feel bad for the kid, but I feel like a lot of his mistakes, like that pick today, that just looks like him trying to force something to happen when it's just not there. And I feel like he's done that a lot this season. And that's just a result of the offense being flat and, frustration of losing because, he's seen a lot of that. But just giving you my 2 cents, love to hear your comments on that. I'm sure we're going to relate a lot.
Yeah.
But I guess go Jets and take care.
Yeah, it's frustrating stuff. I understand. No one wanted the Gase hire. Nobody praised the Gase hire. I thought it was going to be bad. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. Nobody thought it was going to be this bad. I think that the Jets don't fire people in the middle of the season. Is it the right decision? No. Is it the best thing for the tank? The tank in air quotes? Yeah, probably. Lose the next 5 games. Block out 2020. Go draft Trevor Lawrence and reset this thing. Because that would be huge. Like, I think an underrated part. Like, obviously having Trevor Lawrence at the number 1 spot, that's a huge thing. Like, that's awesome. But another factor to this is that is a recruiting chip to bring in a coach. So that's awesome. I love that. So that's my biggest thing. I know. I don't want to watch him either. Gase sucks. Everyone knows it, but I think we just got to suck it up a little bit longer, unfortunately. Next up is Anthony in New Jersey, and he wants to talk about some reaction to Neville Hewitt.
Hey, Matt. It's Anthony from New Jersey. Here we are, 0-11. After another disappointing game, though we had some positives. I'm happy the way the Jets have been using Mims more and getting him more involved.
Yep.
Showing that he really is a star. What do you think of the defense and how they played, and especially Neville Hewitt? Thanks, go Jets, and thanks for Trevor.
I'm right there with you. As for the defense, I think they held their own. I think they're competing, at least. The offense is not competitive, but you like what you see from Bryce Hall. That's like someone who's intriguing to me. I would like to see more of him down the stretch. You like what you see of Ashton Davis, and Quinnen Williams is getting better. They need edge help. That's abundantly clear. Neville Hewitt, he had 6 tackles, 1 for a loss. He's been okay. Maybe you bring him back on a cheap deal to play alongside C.J. Mosley because, I mean, you have to assume he's going to be on the roster next year. I'd probably prefer to go with Harvey Lange, but maybe you bring Neville Hewitt back. He's been serviceable. He's fine. He's not awful. He's not really that good. He's okay. He's just a guy. There you go. He's a Jag. He's just a guy. Next up is Josh in Woodmere, and thanks for checking in, Anthony. He wants to talk about Trevor Lawrence.
Hi, Matt. It's Josh from Woodmere. I just got a question about Trevor Lawrence.
Sure.
So, why do you think that he is one of the best quarterback prospects of all time? I know I think he is. I have my reasons. But I just want to know why you think that, why you would take him over Joe Burrow and over Justin Fields, and you would put him in, not a lot of quarterback prospects get to be put up this high, but in the Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck kind of prospect, like the generational, one of the best prospects of all time. So also, where would you rank him? All-time prospect and all-time quarterback prospect, like just from what you would remember? Would you put him 1, top 3, top 4 of all time? Just wanted to know where you'd put him there, and what makes him, what separates him from guys like Burrow and Fields, other very good prospects. Just want to know what you think about that. Thank you. Love the show, and go Jets.
Thank you. So for me, it's a mix. He has a lot of good traits. The size, arm strength, fitting balls into tight windows, his running. I really like also how he keeps his eyes down the field. Like, he's always looking to make a play, and he never gives up on a play. Now, I'm not saying he's going to make a stupid throw, but he's able to extend plays and still keep his eyes down the field, and how he could beat you with his legs. He could beat you in so many ways. He really does remind me of Andrew Luck. For quarterback prospects that I've seen, it's probably him and Luck, I would imagine. Burrow's high, but I don't think it's as high as this. I think I'm 25, so like I didn't really see. I was 3 years old when Peyton Manning came into the league, so it's not like I could really say that I've seen him. But he's got to be in the mix as well. So he's up there. He's that high for a reason because of those traits that I listed off. And he's elite. He has elite size, elite arm strength, great accuracy. Keeping his eyes down the field is huge. And his running. That's why. He's a really exciting prospect, and it would be awesome if the Jets landed him. Travis from Ohio is up next. Thank you, Josh, and he wants to talk about moving Lamar Jackson to safety.
Hey, Matt! Travis from Ohio.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Not going to talk about the travesty, see what it is there, of the game on Sunday, because Jesus H, I'm over that. That's why I haven't had just therapy with you. I just try to bring up other topics because
thank you.
I don't want to sink that low. Anyway, just a quick thought. What do you think about converting our Lamar Jackson to safety? If we lose May in the offseason, which I don't want to, I hope we resign him and we have him and Davis for years to come. But if we don't, even as a backup, he's under that undrafted rookie contract. So, and cornerback might not be his best deal, but he's got size and he's got ball skills, but I don't know about his coverage one-on-one. So, anyway, what are your thoughts on moving him to safety? Even at backup, like I said, we're paying him peanuts. Could work out. He might be a boss. That might be his thing. I mean, we've seen some NFL greats like Rod Woodson and
Charles Woodson.
The other Woodson that's up for the Hall of Fame. Can't think of his first name right now. Moved to safety. Even Deion Sanders did. So when they lost their speed, they went to safety. Well, Lamar Jackson already doesn't have
the speed? What if we just move him? But he has the size. What if we just move him to safety where he can play more center field than coverage? So, but he can play coverage, but not as well. If we needed him to in nickel, you know what I mean. Anyway, love you. Go Jets. F. Adam Gase. Love you. Bye.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it as always. I'm not opposed to the idea. I honestly really think when you're talking about moving a player to safety, the guy who seems to make a lot more sense to move to safety is Bless Austin, because he could come up and he'll hit the crap out of you, but he's still struggling in coverage. He's struggling in coverage a lot. So Bless to me seems like someone who could maybe move to safety. Lamar Jackson, maybe. I think he's fine as like a fifth corner. Maybe he develops. It's tough. He's an undrafted free agent, and he didn't really get a preseason. He's thrown into the mix. I feel bad, but I think there is some upside there. I'm not completely ready to give up on him as a corner. We'll see though. It's not a bad idea though, Travis. I understand where you're coming from for sure on that. Up next, no name on this one. Just want to talk draft options though.
Hey Matt, I just wanted to ask a question about the draft and the quarterback situation. So I know it's not likely, but hypothetically, if Trevor does not want to come to the Jets and pulls an Eli, I'm going to give you 3 options, and I want to hear what you would do.
I'll play the game.
So
Let's go.
Option A, stay at 1, take Fields. Option B, trade down, take another quarterback, probably Lance or Wilson. And option C, trade down, keep Sam, and take another position like a Sewell or Jamar Chase. So let me know. Go Jets.
Okay. So if Trevor Lawrence is here, but will not, or enters the draft but will not play here, then I would trade that pick. I would not go further than 3 or 4. I'm not going back far. Basically, the point here, I'm willing to swap. Like if Jacksonville wants to come up to 1 and take Trevor Lawrence, then okay, we'll do that. We'll swap, and I'll take Justin Fields. Or I want to move back and take Zach Wilson at maybe let's say 3 or 4. Okay, cool. I'll do that then too. I think that's the direction that I would go out. So I would say option B, but I really don't think that this is going to happen. I think he's going to go number 1 overall and play for whichever team is picking there. Next up is Nick from Long Island. He wants to know, is this the worst game of the year? Let's hear from him.
Hey, Matt. Nick from Long Island here. Just checking. Hope all's well. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Boy, thank God we have the Islanders, because that was a pitiful game against the Dolphins. And I honestly think you may agree with this, that this was the worst game that we played all year. The fact that we had Darnold, Mims, Perriman, and Crowder all playing all at once, and we only put up 3 points, same amount of points as the Denver Broncos, who didn't even have a quarterback, who used Kendall Hinton, a wide receiver off the practice squad, and Royce Freeman and what's his face name, and Melvin Gordon in the backfield. I mean, that's just embarrassing. I mean, Adam Gase, he's no guru. I mean, come on.
No.
The Johnsons have been clearly fooled. This guy doesn't put up any points whatsoever. Also, I wanted to ask, what's a free agent outlook for this team? Because obviously we have a lot of money, and we have everyone in the NFL. We have probably the biggest advantage because teams are going to have to, like the New Orleans Saints, are going to have to cut guys like that. So who are some people you would be interested in bringing in? And lastly, that game for Darnold, what could we get after that game? I mean, he's really just didn't look like he had anything going and making mistakes. It's just a shame because as you were and I was, we were very excited to see Sam come into the league and potentially be a top 10 quarterback in the league, and now that's long gone just because of Adam Gase. Let me know what you think, and go Jets.
Yeah, thank you for checking in, and it sucks, but it's the truth. He's probably gonna get traded for, I'm gonna say, a second or a third. More likely, I still think a second at this point. I know he's not playing well, but people still value the quarterback position and overpay for a quarterback, which a second is probably overpaying for Sam Darnold at this point. I would agree that it's probably the worst game of the year because you thought, okay, like offense with the weapons and the offensive line playing well, maybe it's an entertaining game. No, offense didn't do a damn thing. And free agent wise, you have to look at the key positions. I want to go hard at Allen Robinson. You should go hard in the cornerbacks, edge rusher, interior offensive line, and you're not going to be able to sign every premier guy. Like, you're not going to say, I want Joe Thuney, and I want Allen Robinson, and I want Bud Dupree, but I also think that we should get a shutdown corner. It's like that's all not going to happen in free agency in one shot. You're not going to blow, or hand out 5 $80 million contracts. That's not how this works. But you can go out and probably sign 2 really big name guys because they have a crap ton of money. They have the number 1 overall pick. It is New York. They're going to have a new coach. There are some enticing things about this team. So 5 more games. That's all I keep telling myself. Just got to get through these next 5 games. Thank you for checking in. We're going to Jake from New Orleans, wants to talk Joe Douglas.
Matt, it's Jake from New Orleans again. Calling in this week, wanted to ask your thoughts on Joe Douglas's first draft class. I think Becton looks pretty good. Mims looks good. Braden Mann is going to be a great punter. Zuniga kind of looks like a miss. Morgan kind of looks like a miss. Hall, Ashton Davis, they're probably a year or 2 away from being starting caliber players. And I think the jury's still out on Cameron Clark because he hasn't played. But I think I'd probably give him like a B+, solid draft class overall. Let me know what you think. And what is it now? 5 more games? 5 more games. Let's get it. Go Jets. Thanks, Matt. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for checking in. I think the class looks really good as a whole. It does. With Becton and Mims at the top, to me, that seems like a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle and a potential number 1 receiver. At worst, a good number 2 receiver right there. I think you're going to get a starter out of Davis. Hall could potentially be a starter. Mann is a long-term answer at punter. That's 5. That's good. That is very, very good. Don't know about Zuniga. I don't think P. Ryan's going to be much more than maybe an RB2. Morgan, we know how I feel about the Morgan pick. So yeah, but I'm excited about Joe Douglas, and he's going to have a crap ton more swings in the next 2 years. So good for Joe. Last one's Ben from New Jersey, wants to get some Sam Darnold talking here.
Hey, Matt, it's Ben from Jersey. I'm just calling to say that I feel like there's no one who's taken a bigger fall from a promising quarterback to a guy who's barely treading water than Sam Darnold.
Yep.
He had a lot of promise in his first 2 seasons, but this year he's on pace to have the worst season by a quarterback in the 21st century. He has 3 touchdowns to 8 picks in 7 games played. He already has as many picks as Dan Orlovsky's had in the 2008 Detroit Lions winless season. And at this point, it's hard to believe that we can get anything more than a third for him. I feel really bad because I thought Darnold had a chance to be a top 10 quarterback in the league, but it seems right now that his value is lower than ever. And I honestly feel like it might be hard to get a trade partner for him. Unless he steps things up and maybe improves his trade value a little bit, I don't see us getting anything more than a third for him. Also, if we somehow end up with 3, I'm taking Zach Wilson or Trey Lance. They're good. They're not as good as
Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, but they're definitely going to be better than Sam Darnold. Yeah, that's just how it is at this point. It's really sad.
It is.
I just wanted to call in to talk about some Sam Darnold. And as always, go Jets.
It is sad. I couldn't have said it any better myself. It stinks. It really does stink. And I said it all podcast episode long, but it's Mike McCagnon and his awful drafting for years and years and years. It's the decision to hire Adam Gase, and it's partly on him too. It sucks. It really does, but the end is near. 5 more games. We're through episode 42. Jets Therapy rolls on next week. Make sure to get those questions in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll talk to you next time.